Hey Bible Nuts, thanks for choosing to explore with us over here on Bible Unbound. You know, our mission at Bible Unbound is to give you the tools to discover the biblical epic. In that way, when we're scanning the pages of our Bibles and we come across Psalm, 137:9, we can immediately interpret the passage correctly. Now, I am not a biblical scholar, and chances are neither are you, and that's what makes this so great. I won't throw out a bunch of Greek words or argue with you over the nuances of Hebraic grammar, but we do talk a lot about a lot of stuff. The hope is that we, as a community of people who want to understand what the Bible is actually saying, will situate the stories, the adventures, the poems, the Bible into what the Bible itself calls the gospel. Ugh, get out of here. Anyway, you know, I used to have this job at a summer camp, and I remember meeting a counselor there who had just become a Christian. I had asked him if he was nervous about leading groups of kids in discussions about the Bible, church, disunity, and I will never forget when he looked me in the eye and said, "Well, I don't need anything other than the gospel to help me through those conversations." He walked away happy as a clam, that's just the kind of guy he was, and I walked away with a completely new perspective on how my faith operated. I remember another time when I was asked to define the gospel in as many words as I needed. And I wrote out some Christian garbage on how the gospel is beauty, or the gospel is the declaration that darkness has no hold over us. I sent it off and I ate some ramen. But like my ramen, my gospel had no real substance. And I remember when I heard back that my paper was very bad. And praise be to the God that has grace on us, because as I have gotten older, I've found that many, if not most, Christians cannot put their finger on just what the gospel is, which soon and very soon, in a culture with an increasing sense of irredeemability, will become problematic. So, the gospel, or good news, of the Bible is that even though we all perpetuate chaos into the world and continually fall short of God's standards, those who believe that Jesus is God are forgiven for the mess that we've made. We're forgiven because Jesus of Nazareth, God in the flesh, died in our place, and his sinlessness is then mapped onto us, which allows us to pray to God. It allows us to recognize when we're falling short of his standards and correct course. It allows us to live with purpose. And then also, because we have spun so much chaos out into the world, destroying other people's lives, destroying relationships, lying, stealing, etc., we can see that this forgiveness is a big deal. This means that we can finally see rightly how worthy God is, and thus have the opportunity to offer up to him what little obedience we can muster. And for those of us that believe that Jesus is God, we put our hope and our assurance in the fact that we are known, seen, and raised to new life in this life, and that we will be known, seen, and raised to new life in what the Bible calls a new creation, a space in which sin does not exist and God reigns over everything. Whew. Okay, that was a ton of super heavy stuff, and I'm sure some of you are sitting there going, well, he didn't cover this part of the gospel, and that's true. I didn't even cover like a fraction of what the gospel actually does for people, and that is exactly why we are starting this new mini-series called Gospel Unbound. The goal of Gospel Unbound is to help us discover the beauty of the gospel. We're going to be taking a look at a ton of hot button, hot topic issues and applying the biblical gospel to all of them. After all, the gospel is precisely the reason why losers like you and me are able to approach the infinite and eternal God of heaven and earth and be called righteous and be called brothers and sisters. The gospel is precisely the reason why we are able to read the scriptures without a Bible degree. The gospel is precisely the worldview that Christians should navigate the entire world with. And yet, as I look around my hometown, as I look around churches all over America, as I look around churches all over the world, I see that for many of us, the gospel has not yet been seen for what it is. Or rather, the gospel has not yet been seen for what it could be. It is the reason why disunity is made unified. It is the reason why mourning is turned to joy. It is the reason why anger is turned to gladness, or anxiety to stillness. It is the reason why bitterness is turned to forgiveness, or the reason why sinfulness is turned to glory. It is the reason why dead things come to life. And in that, there is a great deal of importance. There is a great deal of power. So, join us as we seek to discover the beauty of the gospel in areas like anger, failure, justice, and many, many more. This was Bible Unbound, and we'll see you next time.